Hey everyone, it's Jason Nicholson. I'm the Fire Maintenance Administrator for Mesa Fire Medical Department. Today we're going to be talking about one of our new pieces of apparatus that we just received. It is on a completely different chassis than what we've had over the last 20 years. It's on a Velocity chassis, and I'm going to show you some of the upgrades and the features of this truck. One of the first things that we need to talk about on this truck is that it actually has a hood compartment. And the way that we open this hood compartment right underneath here, we're gonna go to the right, which is gonna release it, and then directly to the left, which opens that up. Once we get this open in here, one of the key things in here for the engineers is, this is where your cab lift switch is. It's on an extended cord with a button. You will flip the switch either to raise or to close, and then you could walk around, check both your sides, and raise the cab. Walk back around, check both sides, lower the cab. Another feature that's inside this cab is the Velocity chassis comes with electric door locks standard. We both know that we can't give key fobs out to everybody, so what we did is, in case those things get accidentally locked, there's a button right behind the cab lift switch that will unlock all doors. We've had visibility issues at nighttime in some of our areas. So we went with a high vis light to just improve that lighting and the range of that lighting as we're going down the road. One of the new added features of these trucks, we have turn signal cameras. When you signal left or signal right, it will turn that camera on and display that on the command zone screen. This will help us see on our blind spots, and when we're changing lanes and stuff like that, to give that extra bit of visibility to avoid accidents. Another one of the great features of this truck is we changed the door handles. These are very solid, very well built, and just a pull compared to the lift, trying to save on wrist injuries and stuff like that. Second great feature of this truck is lower when it comes to entering and exiting the truck. This step is approximately 5 to 6 inches shorter than what's on your Quantum. So this should very well assist us when we're entering and exiting the truck. Inside the cab, there's not much change. Most of our switches are in the same locations that they are in our previous trucks and the trucks that we currently use on our reserve market. With one added feature, we do have 2 emergency master switches. Of course, you have the red one that's up and top. Then also by your headlight switch panel, there's another button that turns on the emergency master. This chassis also comes standard with not only electric door locks, but electric windows. That'll save on some maintenance costs and downtimes. Moving on, we got lighted grip handles. This is different from our current fleet. These will assist guys on being able to find these grab handles at night if they're in an extremely poorly lit area. We wanted to make the truck shorter. One of the biggest complaints we get from the field is maneuverability, guys having to take K-turns all the time. So this truck, even though the box is exactly the same, is 22 inches shorter than our current fleet, which is gonna help us be able to maneuver in Mesa's ever-growing city when we're getting tighter and smaller in everything that we're doing. One of the great features of our new design pump panel is we went away from the push pulls. So we went to the old manual locks for the valves, and they're a simple barely untwist, and you can operate the valve up and down. Just like that. And guys, make sure after a fire, when you're using these valves, that you actually take these to the lock position. If they are left in the lock position, they have a tendency they can vibrate out and back out completely, and you can lose it. The compartments on these trucks have not changed from our previous trucks. They are the exact same size as they were on the other ones. One of the new features on the Velocity cab in the back of the truck is what we used to consider our overstock compartment. It's very critical that we remember one thing. To open this compartment, we have to open the top door, then the bottom door. The bottom door is actually the tailboard step to assist in either loading hose or to help climb up the truck through the proper way of egress of going from there to the steps and pulling ourselves up. The next great feature about this Velocity cab and chassis is we wanted to make sure that we got our trucks down to a lower height. We've dropped almost a foot off the top of our trucks, and we've actually lowered the hose bed area to 5'8". Another safety feature that we have is the backup camera. Different from our current trucks, this backup camera actually takes audible sounds. So as we have backers standing back here, if they are trying to speak to the engineer will actually be able to hear that firefighter or whoever's backing them up talk, giving them whatever they're seeing if they need to stop or keep moving forward. Another big difference from our current Quantum chassis to our Velocity chassis is the ladder rack switch. Currently on most of our trucks, that switch is located on the captain side pump panel. The new switch is located at the rear of the truck. It works exactly the same as the other one. You will flip the switch on and to go up or down, and it actually comes with an extendable cord to where we can actually walk around, so we can actually lower the ladder rack without lowering it into something, whether it be a human or some piece of property.
Hi guys, I'm Zach Church with Fire Maintenance, one of the mechanics over there, and we're going to talk about the new deck guns. We went away from the electronic and went to full manual, so there are some features that have changed. On this specific deck gun, the locking mechanism for the extend and retract is now a safety feature. So if the line is charged, you cannot raise or lower while that's being done. It has to be done before and after the line has been drained. Pull the lock, raise it up till it locks in. Once it's up, it will not release until the water is drained. This one also, when you're rotating down, has a stop point. When it hits that, you have to release, pull the pin to go farther. Once it comes back up, it will lock in to where it cannot move again. For rotation, release your locks, rotates full 360 degrees. To set, just push the lever down. Dropping, you have to lift, pull the lever, and drop. Do not pull from the nozzle because it will cock the tube and it will not release. So you have to pull from the center.
One of the biggest key pieces to a clean cab is having vinyl seats or leather seats, something that's non-porous. This is a huge change for Mesa Fire Medical, going from the fabric seats that we have, basically attract and contain a ton of carcinogens, contaminants, spores, algae, mold, all that stuff. These have nice, clean, smooth, wipeable surfaces that we can not only clean with soap and water, but we can effectively decontaminate if necessary. So that is a key piece. Now, as you see from here, we've got our steps. One of the big issues that we have with steps are injuries. So tend not to have the injuries going up the steps, we have the injuries coming down the steps. So this is a much lower step toward the ground, which means it's just easier to get onto. We have a wider platform for that lower. Our foot can come underneath. Obviously, when we're climbing up steps or coming down steps, we want to try to maintain 3 points of contact. We've got a nice LED handrail here, so for night, you have the visual here. It's going to light it up. And we also have the handle here by the A-post on the dash, and we can easily ascend and easily descend the steps here. Amazing safety feature for us, not only with the points of contact, but with this LED light rope here, and then having it closer to the ground is going to help minimize injuries. So we're here in the back of the cab. Again, we've got the same steps that we just identified for the engineer position. We've got the same LED lit handrail to the side, and we've also got a nice harness here that we can utilize. Behind us, we also have a compartment, and that's going to be for our tactical vests and helmets. Another safety feature that we have that will be readily available once we're inside the cab versus having to come out of the cab and then acquire those items in the event that we're going to need those in an emergency situation. But again, we have those cleanable surfaces. We have nice, smooth stainless steel here. Again, all these items can be deconned, disinfected, and cleaned with soap and water. All of the hose beds on the apparatus per NFPA compliance. We have netting for those hoses. The pull tabs make it easy to pull the netting away to easily deploy the hose. Another safety feature, as you take corners or as the hose load shifts just on normal driving conditions, it protects the hose from being deployed unintentionally on the road as you're driving down the street. We've had that happen, so this really prevents that from happening. All right, so this is the engineer compartment. As the engineer comes off the truck and we have a fire, whether or not they're going to be at the pump panel or they're going to actually have to turn out for interior operations or support operations, they've got their own compartment here. So a designated storage area for their turnouts. It's not in the cab, again, following that clean cab concept principle of trying to mitigate carcinogens, toxins, etc. inside the cab. We have 2 bottles, SCBA bottles, Scott packs here, stored on what we call the fire side of the apparatus now. So this entire side, engineer side, is going to be the fire side. That's where the engineer is going to stand. That's where they're going to be operating the pump panel. We're going to have these 2 packs. What's great is as the firefighter comes off the truck, they can acquire 1 pack if need be, or they can all go and meet at the assembly point for the other 3 packs on the other side. But the engineer will always have a pack available to them. So as wind shifts, smoke shifts, etc., as things start to take place, and if they are overwhelmed with smoke or just concerned about breathing in the carcinogens, they have the availability to easily grab a pack right next to their engineer compartment, don that, and make sure that they're breathing clean air. All right, this is the furthest compartment back on the fire side of the apparatus. This is where we have our decon bucket. Interestingly enough, we'll still have the seat covers, even though we have cleanable surfaces on the inside. If we are completely soiled with carcinogens and we haven't had the ability to really get them off, or specifically our clothes, haven't had the ability to change, we still have those seat covers available to us to deploy on the inside of the apparatus to protect the seats and that cross-contamination of carcinogens. All right, so there's a lot going on the back of the apparatus here. I know that some of the things that have been already covered is we've got our rear scene lights and our working lights. So these are easily accessible for any crew member that's coming back here that needs to have a lit area. So this is a fantastic feature here. The other thing is while our bumpers are almost the same height, they are still a little shorter than the other apparatus that we have in the fleet. We also have the ability to have this drop down. It's diamond plated, and we can use this as a platform for stepping up. But that is truly not needed. We've shortened the bumpers so that we have easy access to all the hose loads coming off the back of the truck. We really don't have to do a lot of climbing. And again, to that concept of being NFPA compliant with having the hose beds covered with the netting, we've gone with a quick release strap. As you see, I'm not a very tall individual and have easy access to grabbing the strap. You just give it a quick pull, it drops down, and then your hoses are accessible and easy to deploy. So if you do need to step up, we still have the handrails, again, for the nighttime operations. Each of these handrails on both sides have the LED, they're lit up, so you can easily identify them. You can come back up and you can grab the loops, folds, access each of those hose loads. But once you get it to a position where you can then access it from the ground, you can then turn, get it on your shoulder, and deploy the hose load. With the cabinet here for medical equipment and auxiliary stuff, we have the ability, we no longer have the roll-up doors, but we have the ability to put this down to give us a little bit more access if we're going to utilize this as a platform as well. All right, we're now on the other side of the apparatus. This is the captain's side of the apparatus. This is the furthest rear compartment, and this is what we're going to be calling the EMS side of the apparatus. So with that concept, everything that we're accessing for EMS calls is predominantly going to be on this side as well. And that's important because this is curbside for us, which gives us the access. Now, while we don't always have this side, captain side, as being curbside, what we do have is the ability then to position our apparatus and focus on getting all the EMS equipment that's necessary for those calls on one side of the truck versus both sides of the truck. The other element with this is this being on the rear side of the truck and having the cameras. We're able to identify compartments open, etc. But it is nice to have this on that rear end of the truck. So as anybody is standing here, we have 2 points of view, 2 sides of the apparatus that we can visualize for any traffic or concerns, as opposed to just being on the back side of the apparatus or on the other side of the apparatus. So this is your EMS compartment, and again, we want that to be on the curb side as well. We had to move the O2 bottles over, so we stuck them in with the SCBA bottle. So just for the sake of having room, they're staying confined in one space. They're not bouncing around. And then, of course, as mentioned on the other side of the apparatus when we were talking about the 2 SCBA packs, on the engineer side, this side has 3. This can be utilized in many capacities. So either the firefighter and the captain can come back here and grab 2 packs, or this can be the rendezvous point, which the 2 firefighters and the captain come back here, and as they're donning their packs and their turnouts, making sure that they're all ready to go, they can develop a game plan, communicate. The captain can maybe communicate some extra information that he identified, or information that's come over the radio, maybe some concerns, some safety aspects, or what the game plan is on approaching that fire. So this is a nice feature. As you see right here, the captain chose to put his helmet here because this is a rendezvous point for him. We also have a nice feature inside the apparatus behind the captain's seat that is a strap that he can strap his helmet with. If the captain decides to put it in the cab, we don't want it on the dashboard. 1, it damages the windshield. 2, it becomes a loose object, which is a safety concern. And 3, it should be strapped down. We don't have the strap there. So we've put the strap behind the captain's seat, and so he has the option to keep it inside the cab and actually strap it down to secure it. And that, of course, is another NFPA compliant concern. This is a captain's compartment. We've got 2 hooks here where they're able to hang their mask, their helmet, their coat, put their boots up here, and so that it's not inside the cab with them. Again, this is another feature and one of those sticking points for a lot of people across the industry on making sure that we're adhering to that clean cab concept. So by removing the turnouts from the inside of the cab, we're reducing the off-gassing, potential carcinogen exposure, etc. This gives them that place to store their turnouts.